Hello, Mirabade here. Let's talk about how to homeschool. If you're thinking about homeschooling, it's about time to probably figure out what you're going to do, or at least a lot of people feel like they do need to figure that out around now ish. Um, I started homeschooling about 11 years ago. Before that, I knew and worked with quite a few homeschoolers, and so I was already kind of impressed by what you're able to do. Also, when I was in high school, I really wanted to be homeschooled because I knew that I was pretty good at teaching myself things and learning things on my own, and I didn't feel like I was learning that much in school. So I really actually wanted to learn more, and I didn't have the time for it because of school. So I always kind of felt like, that would be a good thing to do, but I wasn't able to do that. However, I have homeschooled my children, not 100% of the time, but most of the time. So I do have three. The way that I've homeschooled for the most part has been a unschool type of approach. And if you don't know what unschooling is, it is kind of the philosophy that people will learn what they want to learn if they're given the opportunity to. And that we basically are born with a desire to learn. We teach ourselves how to walk and talk because we want to. Um, so everything that you would need in life, you would realize, okay, I need to learn that. I'm going to learn it. And that doesn't mean that the parent doesn't do anything, but it does mean that what you learn is based on your interests. And wanting to be involved in your own life and wanting to be able to do the things that you learn about and that you see going on around you. So part of that is including your kids in a lot of what's going on in your life. So that's basic stuff: cooking, cleaning, going places. There's lessons in just about everything in life. I've also included my children in my work at times, and that has helped them to learn as well. So that's kind of the philosophy behind that. I've done it, but I wouldn't say I've done it to the T, meaning that I haven't taught my kids things. Um, Sometimes I have required that they work on certain things. Usually it has been stuff that they enjoy and stuff that they're interested in, and I at least let them kind of have say on the plans that we have and how they're going to learn and when they're going to learn certain things. So I ask them, what do you want to learn today, or what do you want to learn tomorrow, what do you want to learn this week, or what do you want to learn this month, or what do you want to learn this year? And then I go about trying to find ways for them to learn that stuff, materials that they might need and things of that nature. So that's one way. There's also, in addition to that, I've often used as a base a website called Discovery K-12. I have to check on that. I think that's what it's called. And it has a completely free curriculum from kindergarten to 12th grade. And I've used that as a base sometimes to just check what's going on their level. I haven't worried too much about their grades, except when I put them into actual school. And with my oldest daughter, when I felt like something was off, and it turns out that she is dyslexic. So at that point, I started kind of trying to see where she was. I don't really do testing unless they ask. There have been times where both of my kids, my school age kids, have wanted me to test or quiz them. But other than that, I don't really do them. I don't really need to. I can just ask them questions and figure out what they know, or often they will just start telling me stuff. And that lets me know where they are and what they know and what they understand and what they don't. And they ask me, a lot of questions about what they don't and what they want to know. I've also used the Montessori approach and having high quality materials that are, really pretty natural and work with their level, and just putting that out for them, showing them how to use it, and only, basically they only have access to it if they actually know how to use it and if they'll use it correctly. And it depends on what it is, but that allows them to still be self-directed. Just because it's there doesn't mean they have to use it, but if it is there, and oftentimes what I've done is it's something that I'm interested in, and I'll be doing it, and then they'll see me doing it, and they'll want to do it. But it depends on what it is. Some of it is specifically just for them. Dog. um, I've also used other programs. I've used Starfall. I've used Reading Eggs. I've used Elephant Learning, which is math, a completely math-based program. What else have I used? Just a lot of books, a lot of educational games, Mad Libs, chess, things of that nature, and a lot of having them, with me in the kitchen or garden, or budgeting, planning, organizing, cleaning, traveling. You can learn a lot of, math, not math. Well, you could learn math, but you could learn a lot of map skills, geography, things of that nature. So it's really not that difficult unless your child has, All About Reading is another program that I've used. If your child has learning disabilities, or if they're gifted, or if they have any other kind of special needs, it can be a little bit difficult. You'll need more support. You'll need the right kinds of tools, but that doesn't mean that it has to be expensive or super time consuming. For a short period of time, I put my daughter into the online public schools. There's one called Connections, and I don't remember what the other one is called, K-12, I think. Those are, in my opinion, better for older kids. If you have a gifted kid, I can see that being good for a gifted child. Maybe. It depends on the child. I've worked with a few gifted children, so it kind of depends. But that didn't really work for us. It was way too much work. And there wasn't really that much teacher involvement. It was mostly me doing everything. So she couldn't do very many things without me. So, and the time commitment that they put on that is way more work than they would be doing in a regular public school. And it's hard, it's difficult to keep up with. So it was not as flexible as they say it is. So I'm glad we did it for the short period that we did, but I realized that it wasn't good for us. What it did was it helped me to see that I needed to de-stress from what we were doing before. I thought what I was doing before, because it was difficult for her with learning to read, and that's always been my specialty. Even prior to having kids, that I felt like, I wasn't doing good enough, so I logged into that thing, and it made me realize that what I was doing was perfectly fine, and it was just going to take her longer, and that was just my stress. If you're unschooling, you really shouldn't have to worry about how quickly somebody learns something. They're going to learn it when they want to, when they're ready, but it is important to see if there is a disability, or something of that nature. That doesn't mean that you have to log into some complete other program, or subscribe to, put them in school, or get some expensive curriculum, although there are some curriculums and tools that can help. It's just, how flexible is it, I think, is important, because for us as parents, you're homeschooling your children, you don't want a ton of stress because your kids are there with you all day anyway. Um, even if you're putting them into classes and things like that, they're still, their entire education is on your shoulders, and that can be a good thing, and that can also be a very stressful thing if you're plugging yourself into a system that doesn't necessarily work for you. So I really favor flexibility, and you can use curriculums if you want to, but if it's something where you have to do it a certain way all the time on a certain schedule, that might be too much stress. And so I recommend kind of getting yourself into the mindset that it's going to be fine. You're going to figure things out. You have your child's best interests at heart. And there's so many different dog. There's so many different yeah, dog again. There's so many different options. There's lots of different options. I don't know why I have these on. I don't need them on. It's only for listening to stuff. But there's lots of different options. There's a lot that you can do. There's a lot that if you need to troubleshoot something, you can troubleshoot it. So it can be fun. It can be very flexible. It can work well with whatever your lifestyle is. It can make your life simpler to homeschool your children and make their lives simpler, and they can learn more than they would in a regular school, in a public school or a private school. It depends on what's going on in your area, of course, but it's not. There's no reason they need to be isolated. Socialization is not an issue for almost any homeschoolers unless they want it to be. There's some people who they don't want their kids to socialize with certain types of people and they isolate them, but that's not inherent when it comes to homeschooling, because there are so many different organizations. You can create an organization, and if you have a flexible lifestyle, you have a flexible job or career, or you're stay at home and you're not working, you can travel, you can go places. So you can pen pal, you can use the internet, all of those, lots of options. So if you have any questions, let me know. I have a lot of experience in not just homeschooling but in education, and I'm putting together some things. I've put together some things in the past, but I'm putting together some things also to make it easier to homeschool and to have diverse people that you can learn from for the kids, and also for the parents, and also to take care of ourselves really well, to model self-care, to be satisfied, and to be flexible and make it work for us. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I have a lot more. I mean, literally, I've been doing this forever, so I have a lot more, but this is just an introduction. Ask questions. Let me know what you are wondering about or want to know about or need to learn about. I can point you to a lot of resources. And if you're local, I have something special. So comment below or send me a message, because I do have some local stuff that's ready to go right now. I have some other stuff for everybody else that will be ready soon, and it's going to be fun. So subscribe, send a message, leave a comment, whatever.